Hi everyone, welcome to the second video of our video series about COP22. This video is going to be about climate adaptation in conflict regions. We had the amazing opportunity to meet with Dr. Michael Mason from the London School of Economics and Political Science. So stay plugged if you want to learn some more.
Associate Professor in Geography here at London School of Economics, Political Science, and also an Associate of the Grantham Institute on Climate Change and the Environment.
Hello Michael, thank you for agreeing to meet with us. So I know you're doing research on climate adaptation in conflict regions, and I was wondering if you could briefly introduce the topic and tell us what are the most pressing needs in terms of climate adaptation in these regions.
In conflict regions, in areas challenged by conflict, often adaptation is not addressed because depending on the conflict, the immediate concern of course is humanitarian protection of vulnerable populations. But we've seen increasingly that many resources in conflict regions like water, access to food, agriculture are affected in those conflicts, but also stressed by climate change. So one of the things which is important to recognize is a way in which climate adaptation can help conflict areas, post-conflict areas, transition from conflict in terms of adaptation to climate stresses in the context of other stresses. And often the planning that you undertake to adapt to climate change helps you build up capacity, infrastructure in a successful, peaceful transition from conflict.
Thank you. And so we are going to COP22, which starts in a couple of days. And we're wondering if the UNFCCC firstly actually helped these conflict regions. Is it the right body to do so? And what should be the role of the international community?
Some would say UNFCCC does not have a direct mandate to assist conflict areas in terms of conflict prevention or conflict management. However, as I said, often in conflict areas there are great stresses on resources which can be accentuated by climate change, or climate variability or climate change. So UNFCCC does have a particular role in terms of its responsibilities for particularly vulnerable countries to be aware of the stresses in some of these particularly vulnerable countries emerging from conflict and how those conflict stresses are accentuated by often climate change pressures. And the UNFCCC, I think, in terms of adaptation financing, technical assistance, financial assistance, capacity building, can assist countries who in a conflict or post-conflict scenario are able then to get the capacity to adapt to climate change.
Okay.
I think something which would be a positive outcome from the Marrakesh COP is a realization, acknowledgement. This builds on the sort of Cancun adaptation sort of program of a truly integrated climate change adaptation within the UNFCCC system. What I mean by that is a adaptation framework which integrates the concerns of less developed countries or particularly vulnerable countries and societies and populations, adaptation financing, and doing so in a way in which the commitments of particularly the industrialized countries in terms of climate change financing are seen to start to build meaningfully towards the kind of levels of finance that developing countries need in terms of climate change adaptation.
Amazing. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Dr. Michael Mason, for sharing your knowledge with us. It was really interesting.
Some of us in the international team are really keen on climate adaptation. We're now in Marrakesh attending the UN climate talks, and one of our delegates, Pandora, has just created a working group on climate adaptation within the youth constituency, so that will allow us to bring our voices to the negotiation table and hopefully influence decisions on climate adaptation.
If you've got any reactions to anything in this video or you'd like to be involved, please comment.